10, 9, ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Welcome to another episode of Two Dudes in a Spaceship, the show where we talk about science fiction, and occasionally conspiracy theories. I'm Logan Taylor.
Austin Merrill.
And today, we're going to talk about the Tesla launch.
Mm-hmm.
And how cool and important and otherwise, awesome the whole thing is. So for those of you who don't know, Elon Musk of Tesla launched his new heavy payload rocket. It's called the Falcon Heavy.
Yep.
And it is we talked about last time because it wasn't last week. We skipped a week. We got super drunk. It was bad. But yeah, so the Falcon Heavy is 3 Falcon 9 strapped together.
Just zip tie. Ratchet strapped together.
Pretty much. And no, it was cool because
lots of duct tape was used.
An uncomfortable amount of duct tape. No, so there's the standard the outside boosters were the Falcon 9s, which is kind of their flagship rocket, and then there's a center booster that also I think it had more fuel. But anyway, so it launched successfully. Everything was cool, and then it landed the 2 side boosters. The center booster failed to land. It missed the. They have it's like an AI barge that it lands on.
A barge?
It's out in the ocean, so the center console was supposed to land on the barge, and it missed it, or it crashed on impact. But the 2 side boosters landed back at Cape Canaveral, where they launched.
Damn.
So they landed back on those pads.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's really cool launch. You got to check it out. But the center console, the biggest part of it, heaviest part, had to land in the ocean based on because the 2 side boosters broke off first, and then they landed successfully. It was beautiful. It's a beautiful landing for these boosters. And
I love how into it you're getting.
Your face. I love it so much. So anyway, the payload was Elon Musk's personal Tesla.
A car.
Okay, so you have the 2 side boosters, the center booster, and then you have this like capsule on top that has like this part that opens up. And there's a cherry red Tesla Roadster chilling out. But I thought it was just going to be the car. It is the car plus a mannequin that they actually suited up with their new spacesuit. I think we had talked about once before.
Yep.
So that inside the Tesla and with a sticker on the dashboard that says "Don't panic," which is obviously a reference to Hitchhiker's Guide. Yeah. The whole launch was also accompanied by David Bowie's Space Oddity. So that played, I believe it played in the car on top of, so they launched it to Space Oddity. So it finally gets out into orbit, and then it opens up, and you can, I think there's still a live feed of it where you see, it's a camera facing, they nicknamed him Starman. So it's this camera facing Starman, just, going around, just chilling out, and it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. But the second part of this mission was supposed to there's another booster that the part that's attached to the car, and it was supposed to do a control burn. It's kind of, I believe it's the Air Force. It's one of their boosters, and they were kind of just showing off. Well, they miscalculated, and because the original trajectory was once the third burn happened, it was supposed to send it to Mars orbit, and that didn't happen. They overshot. They overshot, and he was headed towards the asteroid belt. So everybody's like, okay, whatever. He's gonna get crushed by a whole bunch of asteroids, and that's gonna be the end of it. But somebody redid the math, and it turns out he's not going towards the asteroid belt. He's going into like an elliptical orbit, and I'm going to pull up the article here in a minute that specifies a little more. But he's actually coming back towards Earth, so he'll be like 28 million miles away. So not close at all, but we'll probably get to see. I think it's close enough to where we can still send and receive images. So we'll be able to see Starman after he does the. I think he's doing a loop around the sun.
Do you think the lights on the car are on? Because that would be fucking awesome.
I do. I think due to weight, and that doesn't technically matter because the weight capacity of the Falcon Heavy is like a fully loaded. So did I tell you this?
Mm-mm.
The weight capacity of the 730 or of the Falcon Heavy is a 737.
You did tell me that. Yeah,
fully loaded.
Fully loaded.
Fully loaded
People,
with crew, passengers, luggage, and fuel is its top end weight capacity.
That's heavy as fuck.
That's heavy as fuck.
AF.
So, but no, I guess he's supposed to come back within 28 million miles of Earth in the year 2020.
Yep.
So
just reach right on and touch him. Just reach out and touch him.
So, but it was basically there's a whole bunch of people complaining because this seems like just some rich kid's fantasy to launch a car into space. First of all, yes, and what's wrong with that? Second of all, I just
homie has the money and resources. Do it.
He's the only one who's like because like landing a rocket, I believe we initially thought wasn't possible. That's why NASA never pursued it. And he's like, you know what? I think we can do it. And so he did it successfully. Then launches this successfully. And there's a fucking car in space. Could you imagine being an alien and then coming across this dude chilling? Because it's not just him in a car.
He's in a suit.
He's in a suit, but it's a convertible. So the top's
down.
The top's down, and he's got one arm on the side of the car and one arm on the steering wheel, and it's magnificent. So
I just imagine aliens being like, "Nope, too advanced. Nope."
or aliens that have visited us before be like, "The fuck is a car doing out here? Like seriously? Hey dude, come here, check us out. Holy shit, is that a car? Is that from Earth? I mean, I guess. I mean, bravo.
Good work.
I don't have.
They actually grew some balls.
Holy shit. And because here's the thing: the Voyager is a probe we sent in the 70s. That's got the gold record on it. That's got sounds from Earth, and it's got a picture of a man and a woman.
Yep.
And, various.
And
they're
naked.
And they're naked. Various other things. Very like. If you're going to make contact with a species that's not going to know your language or anything about you, that's the proper way to do it. And then there's this.
Then there's a Tesla in
Tesla just cruising around in space, and it's everything I've ever wanted.
It's wonderful, but I can't help but find it hilarious how bad they fucked up.
Well, okay, so here's.
So it was a success to the degree of sending a fucking car into space, but. The trajectory fuck up. I'm like, you get paid to do stuff like that.
So here's the thing, and I thought the same thing. No, let me backtrack a minute. The reason everybody was all pissed off is because historically, anytime we've done launches, we've had we take kids' science experiments and stuff like that, and put them into space, put them as part of the payload, which he could have done. Like I said, I mean
why.
The weight thing. Why?
Why would you do that? You could do that.
Well,
why?
With the weight limit on there, I mean, there's plenty of room for all kinds of stuff. The thing was, everybody was all upset, like, oh, he should have taken kids' experiments, which, sure, he should have, and he could have, but at the same time, none of this has been like, there's no science involved here.
No.
This was just...
I just want to send my car to space.
This massive PR stunt for fun, Because he even said, Musk even said that after they're working on the new rocket is called the BFR, and the BFR, the official acronym is Big Falcon Rocket, and you're distracting.
Sorry.
You're fine. But no, so the official acronym is the Big Falcon Rocket because they're going with the Falcon name, right? But the unofficial is Big Fucking Rocket.
Big fucking rocket.
Because it's supposed to be like I don't know the actual numbers, and I can look that up too. But I mean, the payload. I told you the payload for Falcon Heavy. It's supposed to be like crazy more weight than that. But they wanted to see if they could do that. So I guess after this, they're actually retiring both the Falcon Heavy and the Falcon 9s in favor of this new rocket, which I've seen concepts for, and it looks like a missile. it's like one rocket, and I'm sure you're going to have the side boosters as well. But it's cool because the Dragon capsule, we talked about that. It's actually, there's like a coupler system where it clips onto it. So it ends up looking like it's fully sealed. So so the top end becomes your nose cone, and then you have the bottom booster. Mm-hmm. So it looks like big missile. So once it actually gets in the upper atmosphere, then it detaches and it's got its own power systems after the fact. But it's like the whole point of this, Tesla wants to do space, not only space tourism, but also make it easier and cheaper to get things into space. But because of how successful this was, you have countries all over the world that are just foaming at the mouth to get this rocket because they don't have to invest all the time and money into the research and development because it's done. I believe NASA did quite a bit of that. A lot of the rockets that NASA had designed and built, we sold them to like India and Russia, and because Russia's got a pretty substantial rocketry program as well. Mm-hmm. So we share a lot of that kind of stuff. But I mean, this works. It's successful, and on top of that, it has now made it so private businesses who have no experience in space travel or rocket science or anything like that to be like, that works. We want to send something into space. We'll just use that one because it's done. Which means that more companies are going to get involved. And the more companies that get involved, because they all want a piece of that pie, the cheaper it's going to become because everybody's paying into its economics.
Well, that's like SpaceX's like mission is first and foremost making space travel cheaper and space tourism. I want to go space.
Do you like space? I like space.
Bitch, you fuck with space.
Bitch, you fuck with space. No, the thing too is with like I read a thing the other day where I guess Trump is shutting down our space station. Essentially, he's removing funding from that because he's retarded. I can't stand him, but so in favor of he's doing something else with it. So essentially, rocketry and space exploration is going to be out of like government hands at that point, which is cool, but also kind of scary. Anytime you privatize something, if there's no regulations on it, that can get kind of sketchy. And until there's regulations on it, you have these companies that are going to be able to do whatever they want, whenever they want.
What if SpaceX turns into Atlas?
Atlas? It's Atlas.
Call you reference.
Oh, okay.
You're uncultured.
I'm an uncultured swine. But
the main baddie in.
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
God, what's that Call of Duty? Call of Duty.
Black Ops?
No, not Black Ops.
That's the last one I played.
Advanced Warfare.
Okay.
Atlas was the main baddie.
Okay.
And Kevin Spacey played the main baddie.
Nice.
Perfect. Kevin Spacey makes such a good bad guy.
He really does.
Like, he was born evil.
Ironically, though, you heard about all the trouble he got into, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, he is the perfect bad guy.
One of my favorite vines ever is like it's like in a stadium. I don't know what for, but it's in a stadium somewhere. And there are a bunch of people with Kevin Spacey like cutouts over their face.
I'm seeing it.
And then one guy pulls it away, and it's Kevin Spacey.
I believe it was a basketball game.
Was it?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. He was chilling at a basketball game. He's in the front row, and everybody's got Kevin Spacey mask. And then he looks at the camera and then pulls it off.
Oh my god.
Well, I mean, do you like, all of Kevin Spacey's personal issues aside, have you seen House of Cards? It's dense.
I haven't yet.
It is a very dense show.
Okay, so I've got a list of shows that I'm meaning to watch at some point.
Yeah.
I'm just not ready to become emotionally invested in anything yet.
Yeah, I feel you.
So, okay, so I just did, and this is the reason why. Archer. Love Archer.
Yeah.
I think it's fucking hilarious. This is why we have ants. I think it's hilarious.
Do you want ants? Because this is
how we get ants. So I watched it like fucking years ago.
Yeah.
Like I watched it all the way through. And recently I was flipping through on the Netflix, just flipping through stuff, and I was like, I'm going to rewatch Archer because yes, that's why. I pulled it up last night and it says, this title is available until March 14th. I'm like, are you I've got literally a month to watch 7 years worth of Archer.
The thing is, too, you also called me a psychopath for watching all of Black Mirror in like 2 days.
Yeah, you psycho.
But that's you have to get committed. You're not committed enough.
One does not simply watch a show that makes you hate everything in rapid succession like that.
Give you an example. I was dating a girl who hadn't seen all of Supernatural, hadn't caught all the way up, had seen bits and pieces. Huge Supernatural fan.
I am until like the 10th season.
And you got to power through some of those rough seasons. Anyway.
It should have ended at season 5, and you know it.
Well, yeah. But I mean, I'm on a consumer level, I'm just like, give me more. Give me more.
They were originally going to end it in the 5th season. Yep. And then everybody was like, no! And they brought it back.
But because of that, they've actually been able to introduce new characters that they wouldn't have elsewise. So,
spoiler? Can I ask you this question? Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! I'm gonna ask you a question.
Yeah, because how long ago? I mean, it's.
I don't know.
You said you haven't watched past season 10. That's probably like a good 5-6 years ago.
Does Chuck come back?
Yes.
Who's Chuck? What does he come back?
I can't tell you.
Why not?
It's a huge deal.
Who's Chuck?
Chuck comes back, I think, 2 or 3 seasons ago, right? So again, major spoiler.
I'm the prophet. Chuck.
Because he's not just the prophet.
Is he God?
He's God.
Chuck is God?
He ends up being God.
So, okay.
He played the role of the prophet, kind of more or less to just keep an eye on Sam and Dean.
Okay, so he was God when he was the prophet, Chuck.
Yes. He's been God the entire time. He was Chuck.
And Cass didn't know it?
Huh?
Wasn't Cass chilling with...
Yeah, I mean, so, like, there's, again, major spoilers, unintentional spoilers. Huge fan. But, no, there's a part where, of course, the world's always ending for whatever reason. There's a part where, essentially, because God's back, I'm trying to think how to word this properly. There's... God, I'm trying to think how to word this. Basically, God's a dick because he's been there the whole time, and just, the angels are furious because they find out that God's been there the whole time and doesn't even bother to call him back. Just this all these abandonment issues. But
daddy issues.
The world's essentially ending, and Sam and Dean can't do anything about it. And God's like, it is what it is. And so he's working on a book. He's working on a new book. And so he's been writing this book. And so the whole kind of that whole season is them trying to get God to get his shit together so the world doesn't die. And there's some baddies that I won't spoil because I think that'll kind of ruin the mystique, because you find out the season before the big reveal is that he's God, and then from that point forward, you go forward into that season with knowing this, and then Sam and Dean being like, really, this whole time you eat a dick. But no, there's a lot of really good exchange in there. So if you haven't seen it, highly recommend catching up. Power through the Leviathan season. Everybody hates that season, and it's shitty, but you gotta power through that.
I did power through Leviathan season.
Then when did you drop out?
When basically the season where Dean is Kane.
I see what you're saying. That actually has a pretty good conclusion, and I think a lot of the issues too with the premise of Supernatural, that whole show, every season could be condensed to 12 episodes, because we don't really need, we know enough about the characters. We don't really need a monster of the week anymore.
They throw in like filler episodes.
They throw in filler because they're still doing the hunting thing. So in theory, if you removed all of the filler to take it from 20 episodes to 12 and just do straight story arcs, I think you could continue the show for quite a bit longer. But again, you also get, I think some of that design is more of a reprieve, a relief from it's just all this tension, and if you keep that tension going throughout the whole season, it's hard to continually do that and still feel like, because as a fan, there's certain things that you know that can't happen, or if they do happen, Sam and Dean both have died several times. You always know they're going to come back, but they've started to, and again, spoilers. They've started to tie up some loose ends. So some characters that they haven't talked about, haven't even acknowledged in years, they've started to bring them back in to kind of get rid of those loose ends. Because my theory is it's either going to be this season or next season, or maybe one more. Because I know they're confirmed for next season, but they actually also introduced a spin-off series called The Wayward Girls, which includes some of the... you remember Jody Mills, the lady cop?
Yep.
She's like because she's kind of the caretaker for all of the runaway teens that Sam and Dean have saved over the years. So the new series is going to be based around Jody as that focal point, and then these girls that have now become hunters as a result. Mm-hmm. And so because of that, I think that they're actually going to close out Supernatural here pretty soon. Plus, it's been, I don't know, like 20 seasons or something like that. It's one of the longest running shows ever.
Yeah.
Next to something like The Simpsons or 60 Minutes. You know what I mean? So I'm excited because they did a soft pilot that was incorporated with Supernatural. It's okay.
It's okay.
But I'm concerned because I've talked to other people too. What do you think is a proper ending for that show? Sam and Dean are going to have to die.
Yep.
Or my hope, because you've seen the bunker and stuff like that, or the Minoletter's bunker. Yeah. Okay, so my hope is that you do kind of like a end of series montage, if you will, of Sam and Dean realizing they can't keep doing it. They're getting old. They can't keep just hunting all the time. They're too old for it. So then they reopen the Minoletters to some capacity, recruit a whole bunch of new people, train them to be hunters, and then they become essentially like the Bobby of this new group.
Oh, Bobby.
I know.
Oh, so you just opened a whole can of worms.
I know. So
dude, I felt that deep.
I know.
It cut me deep.
I know.
Robert.
Damn
it, Bobby.
Yeah. So they become the new Bobby, and then you just do kind of like a montage of them training and then bringing new in and then dealing with, and then just kind of show them get old. And then the series ends with either them showing up in heaven in some capacity, and they get like a happy ending. but it's one of those where you either kill them off permanently, which I don't think fans
Permadeath.
will deal with, because we know that basically death has no consequences for these kids. On top of that, or the other conclusion is having them get old and training new kids. But that's my hope, because they've already gone past their expiration date several times, and they've been able to kind of rein it back in to where it's still enjoyable. But I don't know.
It's a good show.
It is a good show.
I don't know. I just kind of fell away from it. I just stopped watching it.
That's anybody I've talked to that, like, I went through. I think after the Leviathan season, I stopped watching it too, just because I got into other shows, and it's just.
I need another Breaking Bad, where I will sit there and I will take a day and I will watch 3 fucking seasons. Dare me. I'll do it. Like, that's what I did with Breaking Bad. I watched Breaking Bad way too fast.
Yeah.
Because I just couldn't get enough of it.
Well, and it's regarded as like one of the best shot TV shows. I mean, cinematography and the foreshadowing.
Beautiful.
Gorgeous. It is a gorgeous show. But before we move on, speaking of shows that have exceeded their expiration date.
Why are my shoes still on?
I don't know. Why are your shoes still on? Mine are still on.
This is disgusting. I just realized that there were still shoes on my feet.
Anyway.
I'm overly aware of what's happening.
Everything feels too real. But no, shows have exceeded their expiration date. Can we talk about The Walking Dead? Did you watch that at all?
Dude, I stopped watching after the 3rd season. It's just...
Because they've deviated from the comics so far that, like, I'm at a point, I don't give a shit about Rick anymore. At all. Like, I don't care about his character, because there's that point where he gets broken down, and he's redeemed and broken down and redeemed, and I'm just like...
Will you just die already?
I'm bored.
Just die.
I'm bored. I will say, this new season, because it's still, people are still really into it. Negan, have you seen anything with Negan? Probably one of the greatest villains that I have ever seen, and ironically also Sam and Dean's dad. So like, the full circle. But anyway, let's continue.
Okay. You got your suicide machine that I know nothing about.
Okay, so
you refuse to tell me about it.
I wanted to get your opinion on it. Okay, so in some countries, doctor-assisted suicide is legal now.
Yeah.
And there was a doctor from Australia, I believe, because I think they're pushing for doctor-assisted suicide. He designed this box, and it's a 3D printable, like, coffin type deal, right? So you get inside of it, and you can either get one with a window or without a window, so you could, like, move it anywhere you wanted. And it uses liquid nitrogen as the killing chemical. And the way it works is you get inside of it, it's fully sealed. You shut the door, and then it gives you like a questionnaire, and to just make sure you're of sound mind. Because a lot of his reasoning behind that is, I guess his mom had cancer, terminal cancer, and just the last few months of her life were just awful. She just suffered, and it was awful. And there's, I guess, a few times where she was like, look, I want to just die. I'm ready to die. There's nothing I can do. Nothing's going to heal me, right? So I just, help me out, but it's illegal, right? So he designed this machine that you get inside of it, gives you the questionnaire, and it basically says, yes or no. Do you want to proceed? And if you hit yes, it starts to flood the chamber with liquid nitrogen. And the thing is, with liquid nitrogen, it actually it essentially asphyxiates you. It replaces oxygen with liquid nitrogen.
Yeah.
But the explanation that the doctor, I forget his name, but they nicknamed him Dr. Death because he's a big proponent of euthanasia. And the way he described it is within 1 to 2 minutes, you go into like not a fugue state's the wrong word, but it's you basically feel kind of drunk, and after 2 minutes you pass out, and then 5 minutes you're dead. So he's like, this is the most humane way that you can end your own life. And so I was like, oh well, what about what if it starts and it's got pressure switches on it, so if at any point in that 1 to 2 minutes you decide that you change your mind, you just push on the door, door opens up, the liquid nitrogen shuts off, you're good to go. Yeah, it starts flooding oxygen back in the chamber. But he had designed it because he wants people to have an option to if you're of sound mind, no mental health issues or whatever, you can decide everything in your own life. You should be able to decide how you die too. That's his logic. I was like, that's kind of interesting. What do you think about that? Do you think that's okay? It's not okay?
Okay. Getting a little heavy.
I was just a bit. You asked. I just read the article about it. So.
Okay, so I do not condone suicide.
I don't either.
Like, I don't want you to just be depressed and blow your head off.
See, and that's kind of the point of the questionnaire and some of the other safety issues. Matter of fact, because people were concerned about that, well, teenage suicide and this, that, and the other, he was like, okay, you have to be over 50. Basically to say that you have enough life experience. But the premise of it is, it's not, I want to kill myself. It's, I am terminally ill.
Right. And that
I'm super old and I hurt all the time.
I hurt just sitting here. That makes me think of Bill Burr. Anyway, I actually, it's funny that you bring that up, because I remember in high school, we got to pick a topic in English class of what we wanted to write about, and I picked basically doctor-assisted suicide.
Yeah.
And I think that if you're dying and you're miserable, and there's nothing that anybody can do for you, then yeah, dude, pull that trigger. Not literally. You're
an awful person.
Not pull that trigger. Pull the trigger on ending it.
I know what you're saying.
I just realized how insensitive that came across. No, so yep, I agree with if you're miserable, sick and dying,
and this is something where, like,
why prolong the inevitable?
Yeah, well, you see nursing homes and stuff full of people who, and some of this too is like, if you're terminal, you're going to die at least relatively soon. Why go through all the pain and suffering and adding the burden of how much medical care and stuff like that costs if you're terminal? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And this is just like, but there's all kinds of people who are like, no, we shouldn't do that, or, but I don't know. The older I get, the more I'm like, when I, if I end up being like 90, and
doubtful, but
yeah, and I'm, and I'm just miserable and I hurt all the time, and I think there might be a time where I'm just like, look, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go, and to not have that option.
When you start making this face,
yeah,
it's time to go.
And disclaimer: we don't condone suicide, and if you are having issues, there's helplines that you can call. Because I've dealt with depression.
Just look up Logic.
I know.
You'll see the hotline.
Exactly. I know what that's like. However, I think that if you're old, if you're terminal, if you're, if you don't, I think we should at least have the option. That's all I'm saying. There's plenty of people who wouldn't take it.
Well, yeah.
But I think that, if you want to, you know what I mean, you shouldn't have to resort to kind of archaic means in order to do so. You know what I mean? But that's just my thought. I want to get your opinion.
No, like I said, I do not encourage or condone suicide. but like I said, if you're already dying and you're absolutely miserable.
Yeah.
And I don't mean emotionally miserable. I mean like physically in pain just by the simple act of breathing.
Yeah.
You should be able to meet your maker if you want.
Yeah.
That's
whoever that maker,
whoever that guy is.
he or she,
It.
We don't know.
Pasta, noodle
Pasta,
man,
the
noodle monster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, moving away.
Isn't there a Pastafarian church now?
I'm
I'm pretty sure there is.
I believe it is Pastafarian. Matter of fact, changing gears, something a little bit lighter. Speaking of just odd religions, in the UK, I believe it was the UK. It was the UK or Australia has officially acknowledged Jediism as an official religion.
The UK, it's actually like the second.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the second leading religion.
Christian and then Jediism.
That's
And it's awesome.
so dope. I watched a video.
Did
This dude like makes his own Jedi robe.
Yes, I saw that. It was sweet.
He was like I used to be a Buddhist, and then there
Well,
was
see, the thing is, I mean, if you do your research into because anytime an author or somebody creates something, it's not very long before fans take over and turn it into something else. Give an example, like Klingon, the language of Klingon from Star Trek. When Gene Roddenberry actually created it, I think it only had like, I don't know, maybe 100 words. It is now an officially like recognized language. It is a full language that you can
It's
speak.
funny what pop culture will do to a society.
And then Elvish from Lord of the Rings, same thing. Tolkien had invented the language. It's based on like Nordic runes, and there's like he spent a lot of time in like Scandinavian stuff doing research. Finland is loosely based on Finnish, and so he created Elvish out of this, and it is also because whatever few words he wrote in those books, it's now a full-fledged language with words and stuff. So people have taken things and there was another show like that, Defiance. Defiance is another really good show, science fiction show. You should watch it. Super good. Ended way too soon, but the developers of the show actually spent the time to make their own language specifically for the show. So all the alien races have their own language. And again, I just thought of this one. Another great show. Have you seen The Expanse? Mm-hmm. Wonderful, hard science fiction in the sense that it's all humans, but the physics and stuff is actually comparable to real physics when it comes to like one of my favorite maneuvers in the show is called a flip and burn, because the way you're in space, once you hit full speed, there's nothing to stop you, right?
Yep.
So they have a maneuver midway through your trip. You actually have to flip your ship over and do a full burn in the opposite direction in order to slow down. So it's called a flip and burn. So you basically flip it backwards, and then you do a full burn instead of having like reverse thrusters. Because if you would have to have thrusters in the front and in the back, if not. So like the pilot episode, the captain tells everybody to strap in for the flip and burn, and you get to see it. It's gorgeous. So the ship's going this way, kills the main engines, and then it flips all the way. But because of the speed that you're going, you have to strap in because you deal with the gravitational shift. And then once you're in the other position, you do a full burn in the opposite direction in order to slow down to where you're going, so you don't run into planets and shit.
So you don't run into a whole planet?
But yeah, it's just another really good show.
One whole planet.
Go ahead.
Speaking of, I almost said Judaism. Jedi. What is it? Jediism?
I think it's called Jediism.
I think so too. I almost said Judaism. God. Jediism is so in the military, on at least for the Army. I don't know about other branches. I don't give a shit. In the Army, on your dog tags, you put on your hang on, I'm getting there. You can put on there your religious beliefs. That way they know how to deal with your body accordingly. God forbid. But
Yes.
Jediism
Yes.
is an authorized religion that you can put on your dog tags.
That's so cool.
Samurai is also another one.
Really?
Samurai. Yep. I knew a dude who got samurai on his dog tags straight up. Real.
That's, okay, now I'm gonna have to do some more research because I want to know what happens if you die. How do they deal with your body via Jedi traditions and or because not everybody can just Obi-Wan that shit and just ascend. Or samurai. What happens? Is it a pyre? Do you guys build like a funeral pyre and shoot an arrow at it? Is that like if you put Viking on there? Do they like put you in like a thing of water
and light you on fire?
And light you on fire? I want to know,
dude. I want a Viking burial.
Right.
That's how I want
to. Great film. I will have to remember the name of it, but it's about this. It's a drama.
Loved ones. When I go, Viking burial.
The whole film, there was this girl who's got to come back because her brother died. Well, her brother was super. He became a Viking essentially. Got super into it. He dies, and like again, spoilers.
Spoilers.
It's an older movie. But because he was a Viking, his family gave him a Viking funeral. So they stole his body from the morgue, took it to
that is loyalty.
The nearby lake, built a raft, sent him out, and then they found like a local archer or whatever, and they shot his raft.
That is loyalty.
It was awesome.
That is loyalty.
It's probably one of the most heartfelt films that I think I've seen in recent years.
I want to feel that type of loyalty in my life.
Right.
I want to feel that.
I will give you a Viking. Is that even legal?
I don't think so.
Why?
It should be.
It should be. Like, if you want to get, like, my dream.
As long as there's a death certificate, I feel like you should be disposed of. I shoot my bitch ass into space.
Okay, so in Star Trek, whenever they lose a comrade because they're in space, they put them in, like, an escape pod. Mm-hmm. And they launch that into space. That's how they do their funeral. So they put drape the Federation flag on top of the escape pod, and then give their eulogy, and then send it into space. That's what I want.
That's what I want.
That's what I want.
When you're a space trucker.
When I'm a space trucker. No, but going back to before I forget.
That would be the only way to get you out of FCA.
What FCA?
Out of your factory.
Oh yeah.
It's to be a space trucker.
Yeah, space trucker, like 100%. Like the Federation of Planets, like if that like Starfleet. As soon as I don't think I would do well in the military because I have a problem with authority. But like as soon as Starfleet becomes a thing, like Elon Musk is like, "Yep, we're starting Starfleet." I'm like, "Deuces, bitches,
sign me up.
I'm a space trucker."
I'm a space trucker.
I will clean. I would be like a space janitor on like the Enterprise.
Yeah.
Just to be on a ship. You know what I mean? Like, I clean the decks. I dispose of all the waste. You know, that would be my job. But just to be and see the things that you could see, because there's an observation deck, like a crew observation deck on every spaceship, like big. Specifically Star Trek. There's always this big, huge observation window. Yes. I want it so bad. But yeah, to backtrack a bit, The Expanse, right? Because we're talking about languages. They did the same thing. The Expanse is also based on a book, but they changed the language to something a bit more. They actually hired a dialect coach and like a language director, whatever that job is, and it's called it's a Creole language. You know what a Creole language is? Okay, so a Creole language is when you have a combination of languages, it creates another language out of necessity.
Okay. Yep.
So this is in the not too distant future. You have people from Japanese descent and Chinese and some of the more complex languages with English speakers and people from France and whatever. And from living on these, they live in the belt. They're called belters. They live in the belt and they live in the asteroid belt. There's a mining colony there, and
that seems dangerous.
The lore of the show, they mine ice for Mars because Mars is colonized, but it's not terraformed yet. So they actually ship ice to Mars, and that's the Martians' water. And so there's a few. I mean, it's really good. I mean, it's like I said, hard science fiction and pretty dense. But like it was compared to like a space Game of Thrones, if that gives you any indication.
Yeah.
But no, the Creole language that they invented is it's put together so well that if like characters will be having dialogue and they'll swear at each other, or they'll call each other names in the Creole language, and there's little subtitles down there for you. One of the words is beltalota, which is belter for of the belt. So if you're referring to somebody who lives in the belt, they're a beltalota. And then there's depending on the context, you can use it as a slur, or et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. And it's just the amount of attention to detail for this show, and it's wonderful. But I'm concerned because any good show that sci-fi makes gets canceled, like Firefly. And
you're still upset about that.
Just
when did that one season come out? Like 2000.
It's like 2008.
Something like that.
Something like that.
You're still mad.
Do you know why? Because
it was good.
The cast was Nathan Fillion as Malcolm Reynolds, just awesome. And then Alan Tudyk as the pilot. Alan Tudyk can do no wrong. I've never seen anything he's ever done where I'm like, this is shitty. I'm just like,
this is shitty.
I'm like, Alan Tudyk, take my money. Moana, okay? Alan Tudyk played several voices in Moana. One of them was the chicken. Did you know this?
No.
Yes. Moana, I forget what the chicken's name is. But yes, Alan Tudyk voices...
No, I can't remember either. It's going to bum the shit out of me.
But yeah, he voices the chicken. And a few like one-off characters. But there's a behind-the-scenes from Moana where he's doing all the chicken noises, right? For the show, or for the movie. And he looks at the camera with a straight face, and he's like, "Yeah, so I went to Juilliard for this." So he's a classically trained actor, and he got paid an outrageous amount of money to make chicken noises.
Is it Hey Hey?
Yes, Hey Hey.
That's right.
Yeah. So he got paid a shit ton of money to make chicken noises, and it's awesome.
I want to get paid a shit ton of money to make
Right?
chicken noises. That'd be dope.
All right.
Okay, Suicide Machine, check.
Okay.
Check.
It sounds like you're doing an inventory for like you're building like a bunker in case of nuclear holocaust, and you're just like, Suicide Machine, check. Got all my food, check. When I run out of food, I'll just get it inside this box and hit go.
And hit go.
All right.
Or you could do the Dwight Schrute thing. I forget what he calls it. Where he's like, he takes off a living cow.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Just take off a little bit of your body and eat it, but enough to stay alive.
Yeah.
Not like how, or I think it's horses. How many horses do you have? 9 3/4. And then he explains that he's like harvesting meat off this living horse. Oh, Jesus. Dwight K. Schrute.
It's not a bad idea. I don't know
it's brutal as fuck.
I don't know if human meat would sustain you. Did you know that you can't eat straight rabbit meat permanently? Did you know this?
No.
So you know you can eat deer and cow and all live long day. You can eat these animals, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. All live long day.
All live long day. You actually can't eat just rabbit. So in a survival situation, you have to hunt something other than rabbit because rabbit meat's too lean. It will not sustain you.
Huh.
So you can eat rabbit all day long, but you'll eventually you won't die. I don't think you'll die of starvation, but you die from like malnourishment.
Malnutrition.
Yeah, you don't get enough from rabbit meat that you do from deer or cow or what have you. It's a little fun fact. We'll drop that fun fact now for us.
Just gonna drop that right there for you.
All right.
Rocket Man.
Rocket Man. Yes. So that's the other thing I want to talk about. You remember Flat Earth Rocket Guy?
Just leave him. Just leave him there.
Fucking leave him.
Yeah, rocket guy building a rocket.
Yes.
To see if
So he goes. He's getting ready to launch it, or he was getting ready to launch it again. Right before he does, he calls off the launch because of he claimed that there was some malfunction. Right, and gets out of the rocket, and he's like, "Well, we'll try again." So he scrubbed the whole launch, and I'm just like, the reason he's having doubts. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's like he's like, "Ah, shit! They just launched something into space today, so maybe I don't launch because like I said, if he launches it, he's not going to get as high as he needs to go to prove the Earth is flat. But once I get more money, it's steam powered. It's a steam powered rocket.
Oh Jesus!
You were talking about riding a nuke. That is literally riding a bomb.
Yeah.
He is riding a steam powered bomb.
Steam powered.
And I'm just like, what is this? And I don't. I posted something in reference to Starman. It was this picture. I don't know if you saw it on Facebook. It's this picture of Starman in front of the Earth, and it's got Obi-Wan in the top panel, and it's like that was. You see that? Or did you hear that? That was the sound of a million flat earthers crying out, and then we're suddenly silenced.
No, I did not see that.
It's so good.
Oh God, I was gonna say something. Fuck.
I know. I'm a terrible person.
Fuck. We should have strapped that sumbitch in a Tesla.
Oh. I mean, the suit's been tested at double vacuum pressure. He'd be okay for a while.
He'd be okay for a while.
Minor radiation poisoning, but it's fine.
Little cancer never hurt anyone. That was terrible.
Wow.
Oh my God.
I thought it was funny, but like...
Disregard.
Guess we're gonna be divisive.
Oh God. Woo!
What were you gonna say?
I watched I watched a video on the science of a flat Earth, and it was like the way that gravity would work on a flat Earth.
Yeah.
Is like right in the center, gravity would be what it is on a round surface.
Yeah, it'd be perfect gravity.
And then as you get out towards the edges, it
curves in. It would have to.
So it was talking about how like right in the center, all your trees would look exactly the way they're supposed to, and the further towards the edges you got, they'd lay over.
Yeah. Well, and then you have I saw something like that where it's talking about sports played in other parts of the country, like physics and gravity would be like
it'd be all fucked.
If you throw a baseball, instead of it going up and going back down, it could go behind you.
Yeah.
You could throw it straight forward and it would curve behind you.
Yeah. I watched that same video.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Speaking of like scientific,
I think it was. Forget it. Just forget it.
Okay. Well, I was I saw another science physics video, whatever. I can't think of the guy's name. He does a lot of them where he breaks down stuff from science fiction into science fact, like what you see on film versus what it actually is doing or what's actually possible. And of course, we assume everybody's seen Last Jedi by now, right? If you haven't,
just die.
Get your life together. Build a suicide box and hit the button.
Hit the button.
But no.
No, it's okay if you haven't. You're just scum of the earth.
But excuse me. That scene, the light speed jump through Snoke's ship.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
He broke down the science and what exactly happens at the point that you do that.
Where you went, oh shit.
Exactly. Now I don't remember all of it, and because I forgot to post other links. So if I remember to post this link, it was a really cool video. But basically, it doesn't actually go. It looks good on screen, but believe it or not, the actuality would have been way more violent than what you saw. Because once you approach light speed, gravity gets all wonky, and I mean, everything goes crazy, right? So if you assume that at the point the ship was at light speed at the point that it actually impacted Snoke's ship, because you're at like a molecular level, it would basically it would happen so fast you'd see a flash. But what would happen is I can't remember what that ship's called either. The Rebel ship, when it impacted Snoke's ship, all you would see is a flash and then debris. Like there would be nothing left because it would be a cascade effect on the molecular level where everything would just explode.
Break everything
down. And there would essentially be ships and then no ships. That's it. I mean, it's just like there's no other subsequent explosions. It would happen so fast and so violently that there would just be nothing left. And it's just...
That's brutal.
It's brutal. Well, and then he goes on to explain that now that the rebels know this, that this is an option, they call them... they're not like light speed weapons, but you know how the Empire has... Or the New Order. It's not the Empire anymore. Charlie will give me shit for saying that. The New Order has the hyperspace weapon, right? Can shoot the beam through hyperspace. That's why it's able to hit those planets. I don't know if you...
Yep.
Okay. So now that they know they have weapons, light speed weapons, I mean, we're talking... now that this is a thing, you build a ship, throw a droid inside, just enough to pilot the ship, activate it at light speed, you can take out anything instantaneously. So I don't think they'll go this route, but you could turn the entire tide of war by throwing a droid saying activate hyperspace now, and then they jump to hyperspace, and I mean we're talking it would destroy Death Stars, it would destroy everything.
What is my purpose? To fly into ship. You pass the butter. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Get used to it.
Man, this show is just Rick and Morty references. Like it's science fiction and Rick and Morty references.
That's all this is. You make a request.
The NPC fulfills a request and then it stops existing.
Existence is pain.
Existence is pain.
You gotta choke up on the cloud.
We're referencing there's a video by the YouTuber Royish Good Looks, and he does like remixes of stuff. He does one for Star Wars too, by doing the auto tune the scene or the audio and just turns them into music. He does one for Rick and Morty about Mr. Meeseeks. So I'll try to remember to link that down at the bottom as well.
I'm Mr. Meeseeks.
It's crazy catchy. But what else do we have on the list?
Okay. Flat Earth Rocket Man, check. You got
Flat Earth Rocket Man, check. Suicide Machine, check.
Tesla launch fuck up, check.
Okay.
Check.
Okay.
And then you've got on here deep fakes controversy.
Oh, okay. So,
I don't know what that is.
Okay, so it's the technology.
You just walk in this bitch and just throw shit at me, and I'm like,
I mean, I don't know.
Give me
why
some preparation.
You don't ever, we talk about stuff you want to talk about, but you never do. You never bring anything to the table. This is the table. Bring stuff to the table. Bring stuff, put it down.
I bring stuff to the table. Get your shit together.
Get your shit together.
Get it all together.
And put it in a backpack.
Take it to the shit store and sell it. Take it to a ship museum. I don't give a shit. Just get it together. Anyway, so deepfakes controversy. Okay. I don't know.
So, you're familiar with, since the invention of Photoshop.
I'm the PR guy.
That's my only job.
That's why I show up, I say some stuff, and I do PR.
Okay, so...
I thought you were aware of this.
So, I actually found it was a subreddit. I found the subreddit via Philip DeFranco. So shout out to Philly D. He's a good YouTuber. We're like friends. We're not friends.
Continue.
Anyway,
Let's go.
So okay. So you're familiar with for years people have photoshopped celebrities' faces onto like porn stars or whatever.
Yep. That's my favorite. I'm totally kidding.
Those are called celebrity fakes. It's celebrity fake pornography. Right?
Oh, okay.
Okay. So this guy used AI. Basically, it got so big that they actually created an app called it was like Deep or I can't remember the name of the app now. But they got it down so well. And what you do, because the Photoshop aspect of it, you actually have to take a celebrity's image and then Photoshop it to make it look real, or whatever.
I mean, I've never done it myself, but I get the premise.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty straightforward. Celebrity face, naked body, scrub out. The
Celebrity face, check. Naked body, check.
But no, and there's always been controversy surrounding that kind of stuff. Celebrities getting upset because people are using their likenesses in this manner that they don't approve of. Now, what deepfakes did, and there's this huge controversy around it because it took out all of the legwork with having to Photoshop a celebrity, where you took this AI algorithm and you threw a whole bunch of photos at it of whatever celebrity you want. Okay, let's say it's Emma Watson, for instance, okay, because Emma Watson's gorgeous. You throw a whole bunch of pictures of her in all different lighting aspects, whatever, and then the AI actually then extrapolates the face and puts them all into like one 3D map, if you will, and then you take a porn GIF. And then you tell the AI program, I want this face on this body, and it does it. And so the longer you let it, the more images you put into it, and the longer you let it run, the more accurate it looks. And I saw one of Cara Delevingne, whatever her name is.
Cara Delevingne.
Cara Delevingne. Okay, and it looks real. It's like creepy real. And so there's this huge controversy because it got to the point where you don't even have to do any work for it anymore. You're just like, here's a bunch of celebrities, here's the gift that I want, and then the thing happened. Well, because of that, everybody started freaking out. Because on the one hand, you're dealing with consent and using somebody's likeness. On the other hand, because people didn't use it for the porn aspect of it came, I think, after the fact. People were using it to swap out celebrities' faces in movie clips and stuff. Matter of fact, I've seen Nicolas Cage as Lois Lane in the new Superman movie, which was awesome. Because what's so creepy about it is because it looks at all these images and then it creates the perfect map. It matches the mouth and everything. So it looks like Nicolas Cage with Amy Adams' body talking to Superman. It's creepy and amazing at the same time. And so because of this technology comes out, any new technology, you have the risk of somebody abusing it, period. That's how people are.
Yep.
So then there was this whole controversy. Reddit shut it down. All these other GIF hosting sites started to shut everything down. And, on the one hand, I get it. With like consent, I wouldn't want my face being used in a way that I didn't agree with. However, the art, you can say artistic purposes. You can claim that on one side of it, but I don't know. I don't know why everybody freaked out about it, because people photoshopping celebrities onto bodies has been around for forever. And yes, celebrities will file cease and desist orders and stuff, and they do it all the time, but it never goes away because it's just one of those kind of, it's one of those evils that just comes with being in the public eye all the time. I'm not saying it's good or bad, it is. It is what it is. So this happens, and then you have these GIFs come out that are like photorealistic, like creepy level photorealistic, and you have the funny ones where like the face is all fucked up and you got like half of a face hanging off. But I don't know. What do you think of that? From my perspective, I'm like, I don't know why everybody freaks out about it, because it is what it is. I mean, we're not talking like, these are all actresses who have done, lingerie shoots. I mean, it's just, again, I think it's one of those things that just, it is what it is, and trying to shut it down is just going to make it move somewhere else. I don't know. I'm conflicted on the topic, because I'm just like, but it's also not my face being used. So I'm up in the air. What do you think?
What's the BFD, dude?
Yeah, see, that's kind of where I'm at. I get it.
I mean, okay, so like, I don't get what the big deal is, because you can hop on Google.
Yep.
And just Google. Fuck, you can get on Google and Google up Cara Delevingne, and I promise you, a fake is gonna pop up.
100%.
I promise.
100% guarantee.
I mean,
because here's the thing too. What concerns me.
I can actually confirm that, because when that G-Eazy song came out, where his line is "I want to marry Cara Delevingne," I was like, "Who is that?" And I Googled it. And I Googled it into images, and I swear to God, there was a fake on there.
Well, yeah, you get all the promotional shots, you get all the glamour shots that they do, and then there's always at least one fake.
Yeah.
Okay? The thing is, too, with celebrities being upset that, the fappening, or when all the celebrities got hacked and stuff, in my opinion, the moment that you start taking away stuff that has nothing to... since they're not real, you understand that they're not real, right? Mm-hmm. If you take all that away, because people are still there's still a market for it. People are still gonna want fakes. Okay, you're gonna push people, I think, to be more inclined to hack into people's accounts and get real ones. So then you kind of have this double-edged sword. Is, would you rather have your actual photos leaked? Or would you rather just let,
have your face copy and pasted on
people just
somebody
do,
take it in the ass?
Yeah, things all the time. So I don't know. I'm just like, you guys are going to create more problems than you're trying to solve. But the other big controversy is, I've seen them do the same swap with a president giving a speech, and because everybody goes to the extreme. Everybody throws out, well, what if you took somebody saying, I'm going to blow up, or I'm declaring nuclear war on North Korea, right? Put Trump's face in there, and then, that gets leaked to North Korea, then we're at, nuclear war with North Korea. I think that's an extreme, and I think that, granted, they're a very closed-off country, like the most depressed country in the world. I think that, yes, that is a legit issue, but I don't think anybody was thinking about it until you fucking mentioned it. you got people over here just worried about seeing Cara Delevingne taken in the ass versus people declaring nuclear war on a country. Nobody was thinking about it. You created the issue, and I don't know. I'm just
North Korea was gonna nuke us when The Interview came out.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
and
that's just a goofy little comedy.
And the thing is too that if North Korea was really...
Did not like that movie, by the way.
I thought it was good. I thought it was a fun little satire on him, and I thought it was funnier that he got super butthurt about it.
I liked the really the only redeeming part of that movie was the Eminem interview. That was fucking hilarious. It just like his composure.
Yeah, it's so good.
Because I'm gay.
But see,
what?
But that is a prime example of something that you could do if you took if you took like a really good celebrity impersonator, somebody who's got the voice down but doesn't look like the person.
Right.
You put the face on top, match the lips, and
go wild.
And go wild. So then you start to deal with issues of what's real. I don't know what's real anymore.
Nothing's real.
And I don't know. I just think that personally, whether it's okay or not okay, or there's some legal gray area this falls under. I'm like, just people are going to do it. It goes with any form of technology. Somebody somewhere is going to abuse it, period.
Yeah.
But that is no reason to fear new technology, because, this technology, it kind of it shows off what AI is capable of on its own. That you say, hey, I need you to do this, and it'll do it for you. But because people abuse technology, that's you get stuff like this. But I don't know, man. That's just my opinion on it. I'm like, I get it. I get why it's not necessarily okay, and I get that celebrities are upset because using your likeness in this manner, and that's cool. I respect that, but people are gonna do what people do. So
people kind of suck.
What is that? A lesser of two evils, I guess, is the point I'm trying to make. Because it could be. Because I think you could go back to the whole, more people wanting to hack and et cetera, et cetera. So, but anyway,
I digress.
My brother used to say, "I digest."
I digest. That's true, you do.
But I digest. Yes, we all digest.
Everyone does that.
Oh.
Everybody poops.
Everybody poops.
In case you didn't know that.
You just dead eye. In case you didn't know that. You got anything else?
No. What's our?
We're at an hour 10.
I thought we were gonna try and cut down anyway.
I think I have probably 5 minutes of
cutting
anyway.
Yeah, including this.
Well,
including but not limited to.
And there was a stutter, a video stutter midway through as well. So, but anywho, I think that's it for us. We'll eventually get to time travel. I know we've been talking about doing that. We're probably going to be taking a couple weeks off here in the near future because we're moving to a new studio and I'm moving to a new house. Those happen to be in the same place.
And I'm putting carpet in it.
He's putting carpet in it.
He gave me like $100 today.
Yes.
No, He gave me $100 today by buying the carpet from my company.
Yeah, it just.
Thanks, bud.
It better look good.
It's going to. Dude, that storm cloud. I hooked you up with it.
Anyway, that'll be it for us. I'm Logan Taylor.
Austin Merrill.
See you next time.
Whoever is generating semi-musical noises on the bridge will please cease such activities immediately. I guess that